Brilliance Audio presents the unabridged recording of The Memory Agent by Matthew B.J. Delaney, performed by James Foster and James Patrick Cronin.
Part 1. September 1933. In the instant before memory starts, I could have been anyone. All worlds were possible. But then, like a rusted machine slowly coming, beginning to turn, the gears of memory rotated into place. I awoke in a bed, my face glazed with sweat, my mouth dry and awful. I was in an ordinary hotel room. A ceiling fan spun lazily, circulating warm air and distributing the pages of the Pearl S. Buck novel on the small writing desk. A suitcase lay open on the floor, a few stacks of neatly folded clothes visible inside. On the bedside table, an Imperial Airways ticket from London to Cairo. My room was on the third floor of the Luxor Hotel and looked out across the crowded Jewish quarter of Cairo. Outside, the street bustled. Cairo was a city of the salesman. Vendor stalls were packed tightly together, hawking everything from fruits to rugs to falcons. Anything could be had in the streets. The entire classical world had ended up in Cairo, a counterfeit collection that could rival the world's best museums. Several archaeological expeditions that ended in an empty, looted tomb could be artificially augmented with a few select purchases from a vendor's cart. A journal was open on the table. Inside, a list of names. 1. Samuel Clayton. 2. Charlotte Gonzalez. 3. Edward Selberg. 4. Nasser Hajar. 5. Elizabeth Blake. 6. Bobby Chan. Below the names, a year. Already the afternoon heat was beginning to fade as the sun set behind the minarets of the old city. Long shadows stretched across dusty streets. I checked my watch. The rest of my team would already be assembling downstairs. I splashed water on my face from a basin, then left my room. The year was 1933. The Luxor was one of those large post-colonial affairs, a relic from the old British Empire which was quickly fading from the reaches of the globe. The lobby was large and open-aired. Porters stood at attention in jackets and white gloves, visibly sweating in the heat. In the dining room, brilliantly white-clothed tables were scattered like marbles across the hardwood floor. Charlotte Gonzalez stood alone at the bar drinking tea from a clear glass. Charlotte's skin was luminously pale, her wavy hair a shade more colorless than blonde. The only feature that sparkled with color were her eyes. They were a deep shade of green, big and round as an infant's, but filled with more cunning than naivete. They were the eyes of someone who had experienced the world, and so far had not liked what she had seen. She was the team's linguist and translator. "Rest of the team is still waking up?" Charlotte said. "You know what this is about?" "They must have found something in the desert." Next to arrive was Edward Selberg. He staggered through the main doors of the dining room, holding his head with one hand, a grimace on his face. He had a thin, sharp countenance and narrow eyes, like some minor villain in a Charles Dickens novel. He shuffled forward as if drunk, leaned heavily against the bar, and nodded to Charlotte and me. "Anyone have any aspirin? My head is killing me." "Lay off the vodka," Charlotte said. Selberg shook his head. "I don't think I had anything to drink last night. I don't remember a thing." "Which probably means you had too much to drink." He continued to rub his forehead with one hand, while with the other he revolved a pair of dice over and over in his palm. He slapped the dice down onto the bar counter, then poured a cup of tea from the silver pot. The doors swung open again as Samuel Clayton entered. A black man with the misshapen nose and swollen eyes of a former boxer. He wore long boots, khaki pants, and a white shirt held up by a leather bandolier, which also carried the weight of a Colt revolver. A brown, American-style cowboy hat was pulled.